This looks intricate and layered, but it's built with almost nothing. Just a few watercolor pencils and a couple of simple tricks and supplies. What you're about to see is less about technique and more about realizing that richness in the painting doesn't come from complexity. It's about how you use very little but on purpose. I'm starting from a reference that already has that elegance built into it, something soft and subtle with natural variations. Notice I've sketched the shoes with a regular graphite pencil because I want something clean that erases well. And the first takeaway for you here is that watercolor pencils don't have to just be another sketching tool. They can also be the entire painting, as you're about to see. And this is where most people miss the simplicity in those pencils. They think they need a bunch of color choices or even a traditional watercolor painting as a base, when in reality, you can paint something that looks professional with just a few pencils, simple supplies, and an easy process. So I picked a soft pink, a brown, a deep mauve, and I've added a white pencil that I might not even touch. That's it. 3 colors, maybe 4. Most of us give up with backgrounds or large areas because they often look streaky and flat with watercolor pencils. And if you keep using the pencils directly on paper when you want to paint backgrounds, that is exactly what you'll get. So instead of putting up with streaks, I completely changed the approach. I take sanding paper, something around 220 grit, and I turn the pencils into pigment dust. I'm not drawing, I'm just placing color. I thought the mauve color would help the shoes stand out, so I sand it all around the subject, and then I use a simple paper towel to move it around and smooth it out. I use circular motions, light pressure is enough, and just like that, we're already getting something dreamy and super smooth in seconds. And I don't stop there, because if the background is just one flat color like this, it stays boring. So I bring in the pink in small touches, and I let it overlap with the mauve in places. Not everywhere, because the goal isn't to cover everything up. I just want a bit of color harmony by including the shoe main color in the background as well, that's all. Then I do the same with brown for the same reason. And suddenly, without doing anything complicated, it's actually very fun to do. The background feels rich and beautiful. There's variation, and later there'll be subtle connections between the subject and what surrounds it. Then I let the water take over, and pay attention here because with watercolor pencils, the way these backgrounds look is something else. And I'm showing you one background technique here, but that's not the only one. So here I spray the sheet not carefully or precisely, just enough to let everything start to move. I'm not even stressed about the paint getting on the shoes. I tilt the paper and I let the water run freely. That's what creates the beautiful effects we're starting to see. And these effects change depending on how close or far I spray and the paper itself. So for example, I personally love hot press paper for this because it dries faster and the textures become more visible than on cold press papers, but this still works on all watercolor paper types. To keep the shoes clean, I just spray water there, and as everything settles, I go back in with a paper towel to clean this area a bit better. Even more beautiful are what splatters look like on watercolor pencil dust. I find they work better here than with traditional watercolors. The best time to splatter water on that kind of background is towards the end, when it's almost dry but not quite. And this combination, pigment dust, smooth paper, and water spray, completely transforms what watercolor pencils are capable of in terms of smooth and creative washes. And you're about to see there's much more we can do, because once that dries, I shift back to a technique that gives a lot more control. The shoes are the focus, so they need more structure, more clarity, so they stand out. So I go back to using the pencils dry, and like we would use colored pencils. It's the basic coloring technique. There's a way to tackle it that most people tend to miss. The way I do it is I start with the lightest and most dominant color, pink, and I'm not pressing hard, I'm just letting the pigment build slowly. I only add pressure where I need more definition or separation so I don't lose my sketch. And I leave the whites alone. That's important. The brightness comes from the paper, not from adding more. And just like traditional watercolors, it will make the art look even more beautiful, almost like it's glowing. So if you can, think about preserving some whites. So in the coloring stage, I am constantly checking the reference. I try to stick to it roughly, but I don't chase perfection or hyper-realism. All I'm chasing are the midtones. See where they are and leave the highlights alone. When I color to avoid streaks, my pencils are slightly blunt most of the time. It helps because it makes the process feel quicker and smoother without effort. My pencils also play a part. They are the faber-castell Ombre Durer, and because they are not dry or scratchy, they blend into smooth paint. I'm done with the main color, so now I layer the brown color, and I focus only on the warm shadows this time. It's the areas in the shoes that look warm but also need depth. And this is where layering stops being just a step, because as you can see, each color isn't isolated. They overlap onto each other just like in the background, and we start to see some realism in these shoes. With the mauve, I go even more selectively. Originally, I picked it for the deepest shadows, the cooler tones in the shoes. But I am careful with darks in this piece because it is so soft and feminine to begin with that I know it will be easy to overdo and lose the softness. So every time I add dark shadows, I also balance them back with pink added on top to keep everything cohesive. At this stage, the drawing almost looks finished on its own. And that is a huge cue with watercolor pencils. It's another takeaway for you here. Because if the coloring does not look good dry, activation is not going to fix it, and you'll end up layering and layering again, making more and more mud on your painting, when with watercolor pencils, we can get everything done very quickly and get awesome results. So activation is not there to correct or build something up. It's there to reveal color intensity only from a finished coloring. So when I do start activating, it's very controlled since I want to keep this coloring as it is. I use a clean and damp brush that I always blot on a paper towel first so it's not dripping. And I work section by section to wake up the pigment, smooth the grain, and bring the colors together. Watercolor pencils are great for all levels because of that. You can really take your time with them. To preserve the whites, I wet those areas first, and then I bring the color I activate towards them so it naturally fades into the paper. Notice I rinse the brush constantly too, especially after touching darker areas, because one mistake here that all beginners make is to turn everything into mud by just dragging old pigment everywhere. And what's interesting, as you can see, is that the colors don't really change. They just become more vibrant and more unified. And if you look closer, we're getting something smoother as well. On larger areas, I allow a bit of back and forth with the brush to smooth things even more. With these pencils, especially the creamier ones like the ones that I'm using, it works beautifully. If the initial coloring was soft, the result becomes close to traditional watercolors. And if you leave some areas less blended, you get that subtle pencil texture that can actually add character, so you really get to choose how much of the pencil or how much of the watercolor you want here. Then comes refinement, but not in the way people expect, because it's not about adding more everywhere. It's just about adjusting where it matters. So for example, I decide I need to improve contrast, so I pick up pigment dust again with a paper towel and I place it exactly where I want the shoe to pop a bit more. I reinforce a few shadows with my darkest color, especially near the base where the shoes meet the surface. There it actually makes sense to make the shadows stronger and still not lose softness. And sometimes I activate those kinds of small touches, sometimes I leave them dry, depends on the effect I want, smooth or slightly textured. In areas where I've built up more pigments, like the inner parts, I decided to reactivate just to soften transitions and even lift a bit of paint while I'm at it. As you can see, lifting creates subtle highlights and that sense of realism that doesn't come from adding more, but actually from taking away. I also lift on dry paper if I need to, like on top of the ribbon, just to enhance the contrast with the background. And if I really need to bring back a highlight, I could use the white pencil, either dry or slightly wet. Just doing it here to show you, but honestly, preserving the paper from the beginning always looks better, and my painting doesn't need any more. And at the end of all of this, what you're left with is something that feels rich, layered, almost complex, but built with almost nothing, just a few pencils, simple tools, and a completely different way of thinking about them. So if you want to go deeper into this and actually understand how to build anything from landscapes to portraits from start to finish, my watercolor pencil mastery course is where I break everything down in a way that makes it click, and that's doable for complete beginners as well. The link is in the description below. And if this gave you that shift about watercolor pencils, if you enjoyed the video, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.